motivation real quick. Good morning. It's Ashley. Good afternoon. This is Dr. Michelle, and I am on the semi with my husband, so it might be a little bouncy, but hopefully, as long as you can hear me clear, we're good, right? So I want to bring to you today Matthew 26, chapter 22, Matthew 36 through 40, and it says, "Teacher, which is the most important communication in the law of Moses? You must love the Lord your God with all your heart, all your soul, and all your mind. This is the first and greatest commandment. A second is equally important. Love your neighbor as yourself." Hold on one second, guys. Let me put this on. "The entire law and all the demands of the prophets are based on these two commandments." And based upon that, I want to ask you today, I want to tell you based upon that, the subject is love makes a difference, right? Love makes a difference. So in these scriptures, you find the Pharisees and the Sadducees, right? And their intent is to question Jesus or test Jesus in the ways of love, right? And in the way that he does things. They didn't even know it was about love, but in the end, God is going to break it down and show how it's about love. But their thing was to test him. So first it was the Sadducees asking questions about if the spouse of a wife should die and how that works, and question about marriage and church and all sorts of things. And so what happens is they continue to test him. He continues to defy and stump them in any way that they come. You know, his answers are like, just, I said what I said and I meant what I said type of thing, right? So what happens is the Pharisees finally come to him, and, you know, they feel like, okay, so the Sadducees may not have been able to get them, but we're going to get them, right? We're going to keep asking questions to satisfy what's on the inside of us. And so everything that they were doing were of ill intent. It wasn't based off love. It wasn't based off good intentions. It was like to set somebody up. You know how you set people up if you're having an argument, or you set somebody up and you make it be what you want it to be based upon the questions that you pose, or the argument that you bring forward. So that's what they were doing. Based upon their questioning, they felt like that they could trap Jesus into answering in a way that was going to be beneficial to their ill intent, right? So they was moving according to the flesh. Anyway, so what happens is that the Pharisees finally come to Jesus and they asked him, you know, they was like, okay, what is the greatest of all these things of the law of Moses? You've told us a lot of things. You've given us a bunch of questions and a bunch of explanations, but what's the greatest of these things? And God told them, it's love. You know, it's to love me with all your heart, your soul, and your mind, which is basically to love me with all your provision, love me with all your prayers, love me with all your intelligence. Everything that's concerning me with you, you need to give it in the way of love. Basically, that's what God was saying. But he was telling them, but that's not all. You got to love your neighbor as yourself, which means you got to love other people with a good heart and pure intention as well. The same way that I told you to love me, but don't forget to love yourself. So I asked you today, and I really just kind of like posed a question to you to ask you, like, are you grounded in love? Based upon the way you move in life and based upon the things that you do, are your actions grounded in love? Are you grounded in love? And the subject matter was, love makes a difference. Well, how do you know, Dr. Michelle? Because listen, if you seek just your soul desire, you know, and you move a certain way that's all about the flesh, then you're not going to get the outcome that you desire. Because when you do things in love, you're going to get a different outcome, right? If you go to cook a meal and you don't cook it in love, then it's going to be tasteless. You're going to see that it wasn't done in love, right? If you want to do something for somebody, but it's not based upon love, but it's based upon what you can get, then you're an opportunist, right? It wasn't based in love. So the reason that I asked you, are you grounded in love? Because you're going to be able to tell by the reasoning on which you do things, right? So anyway, let me move forward. If you don't love yourself, let's get to that. We're going to break it down with loving yourself, loving others, and loving God, and how that works. If you don't love yourself and love your neighbor as yourself, then you can't say you love God, because God is the breath of life in everybody. It doesn't matter if you don't like the way they do things or how they act. You're mandated to love them because God is inside of them. It doesn't matter if you don't like the color of their skin. If you're grounded in love, then you have to love them. It's a mandate because God is love, and God is on the inside of every person. So love goes deeper than the superficial things that we think what love is. Love means that you love past what a person does. Love means you love past what a person, how a person sees something or decide to do something, because it's grounded in love. Now, you don't have to like anybody, but you are mandated to love everybody, because that's the very essence of who God is. So it doesn't matter if their actions are not conducive to what you want them to be. You still love them because God is love. So when you say to yourself that I'm going to go get my hair cut, I'm going to go get my hair done, I'm going to go do a spa day, you say, okay, that's loving myself. Well, loving yourself has to be more than just that, because in order to love yourself, you got to look on the inside of yourself, and you got to be willing to admit that to love myself means that I got to love past just what I see on the outside. I got to look on the inside, because love is an agape love, which means unconditional, which in the Greek word, it means unconditional. It means that it's no matter what you do, I love you, because my love is not based on speculations, expectations, or rooted in my selfishness, but it's a agape love. So that means that to love myself means that I got to love myself enough to know that I got to treat my body right. I got to treat my mind right. I got to put myself in positions that's conducive to showing that I love myself. So in order to love myself, I have to do those things that are representative of the love of God in my heart. That means I can't go and eat any and everything and say I love myself, because God is in me, and I'm supposed to supply a great, safe place, a place that God can dwell in, which is a holy place. So if I'm out here hoeing, or I'm out here putting everything in my body, whether it be other people, substances, food, things, the drugs, anything that's not conducive to the will of God and how I love myself, then how can I say I love myself, right? That's not love. Love is being able to say, I provided a temple in which God can dwell to show the light that he desires me to bring into the world, which is love, right? A lot of situations can be different if it's grounded in love. A lot of things will work out different if it's grounded in love, because people keep saying love is not enough. Then you're saying God is not enough. And he's trying to tell you that if you do everything in love, it's enough. Because these are the most two important things that I have given you in the entire Bible that you love. Because if you don't love, then you're nothing. Without love, you are nothing. It says that you can be loud and you can be boastful and you can be of sound and brass and cymbals and drums and all of that. It's like keeping noise, but you're irritating because your noise is of no effect. It's nothing. You're doing nothing because it's coming from a place of boastfulness and showing, but there's no love in your heart. Okay, so let's take it a little deeper. If you allow yourself to be in a situation that you say you love yourself, but it's a situation that you're being emotionally, mentally, physically, and spiritually abused. You go on that job every day and somebody is abusing you on that job. They're taking you for granted. You go to that church every Sunday, but the church is not filled with love. It's just a place of robbers and thieves, a den of thieves. Then that's not love. You go to that situationship that can't develop into a relationship because there's emotional, physical abuse, but you allow it. That's not love. But you say, well, Dr. Michelle, how am I'm not allowing it. It's happening to me. That's not me not loving myself. Yes, it is. Because if you don't love yourself enough to change the situations that are abusive to yourself, then you've missed the mark on love again. Because You can't love yourself and say you love God, but you allow things to happen to you and yourself to be in a situation that you know is not love. Basically, it's not love. You can't love me and intentionally hurt me. That's what people need to understand, because when you love somebody, you're going to think twice about what you do to that person before you hurt them. Before you go to a job that you feel like it's just not a stepping stone, it's not helping, it's not walking in purpose. Like, you got to understand that everything that you involve yourself in has to be from a place of love, and that means loving yourself. Then when you love yourself, you know how to give love to other people, and you know how to receive love. The hardest thing in the world is to love people that love you back. I mean, that doesn't love you back, because your flesh would say, let me get my get back, right? Let me text them and tell them how I feel. Let me show that I said what I said and I meant what I said, and I stand on all 10 with that. Well, that's following the flesh. What about the opportunity when somebody come at you sideways to meet them in a place of love, in a place where you have to sacrifice what you want to do in the flesh so that they can see the face of God? Right? That's love. That's unconditional love. That's love on God's way. That's the opportunity for God to show himself strong, because then what happens is you calm the wrath of an angry person, because love can only do that, right? The only way that you can calm the wrath of an angry person is to meet them in love. And the Bible talks about that. It talks about that the wrath of a man, his anger is like no other. Because, listen, when you talk about the wrath of God, you talk about the wrath of a man, because we're made in the image of God. And that's the part that we keep missing, that we are made in his image, so we have to act in his image. We have to move in his image, and that image is love. Why do you think that love is the only thing that can calm the wrath of an angry man? Because he himself is made in the image of God. A lot of times we want to say we're grounded in love, but we don't act nothing like love. We don't move in love. We don't act in love. We don't want to sacrifice because I want to follow my flesh. Well, after you done cussed them out and you done did everything that you want to do following the flesh, guess what? Then you feel bad because it wasn't anchored in love. And if it's not anchored in love, nothing is going to come of it. It's just you in the flesh allowing Satan to have his way to help you to act a fool for no reason. Because then once you open the door, then he's going to bring 7 more of his demons in to help seal the case. And a lot of times, guess what happens when you don't walk in love? You're separated from God, and sin is separation from God, which is death. So then things just get worse. Just get worse, just get worse, just get worse. So how do you know if you're walking in love or not, Dr. Michelle? Well, you got to follow the fruits of the Spirit. If you're not walking in kindness and love and gentleness and meekness and, not arrogance and, you don't have a humble spirit about you, you're not trying to be good in the world, then you're not walking in the fruits of the Spirit. You're not grounded in love, because you can't sow bad seed and expect to get up good fruit. If you sow bad seed and good soil, you still gonna get bad fruit because the seed was bad. So if you want good fruit, you gotta sow good fruit. It's almost like my husband say, I don't want no bad juju. So you can't put bad out there and think you're gonna get right. And I always say that I love that, because when he said it, it just made me think like it's another word for karma. I don't want to put bad juju out there and then think I'm gonna get good. That's the same thing with the fruit in your life. Whatever you sow in your life, that's what you're gonna get back. And I know it to be true, because I may have sown some things in my life that weren't the best of seeds, but I also can see my good fruit. And you know how I can see it? Because when I'm down, come on somebody, God supplies my needs. He has supplied my needs when I'm down, when I'm out, when I can't see my way. God always make a way out of no way. And he has done this through the love of my life. He has done that through things that I could never imagine. Why? Because I sow good fruit. And when I didn't sow good fruit, because I have the good love of God in my life, I'm covered by grace. Come on, somebody. Y'all got to get what I'm saying this morning. You don't understand that love is the foundation to everything. Love is the foundation to everything. That's why when you pursue your purpose and you pursue love, which means that seek first the kingdom of God, and all things will be added unto you. Why? Because when you seek love, you seek God. I'm using the two words interchangeably, hoping that you'll get what I'm saying. God is love and love is God. So then let it be in earth as it is in heaven. That way that heavenly things can be in earth because you have God on the inside of you. So those words are interchangeably. So God is love and love is God means that, listen, if you seek God, you seek in love. And if you seek love, you seek in God. That means that that thing can now be in order. So when you seek in purpose, that's why when people say you walking in purpose, that things just come to you. It comes. Things flow the way it's supposed to flow, because then you ain't got to struggle for it, because you in your purpose, and purpose is in you, and God is purpose, and purpose is God, and love is God, and God is love. You understand what I'm saying? If you didn't get it, you're going to rewind that so you can listen again, so that you can break it down in your free time. But so what I'm trying to tell you guys is, I go ahead and bring this to a close. You have to get past the point of superficial movements and emptiness in your life, where you're just moving off of like survivor instincts, or you're just moving to like move, or you're just going through life. You gotta be intentional on what you do. And if you're not intentional on what you do, and you're always somewhere making a what's a good word? You're always somewhere making a plan, or you're always strategically planning, or you're just going off your intelligence, but none of that is grounded in love, then you can't get to the point. You can't meet your mark or your goal, because nothing in life is going to work without love. I need you to hear what I'm saying. Nothing in life can work without love, because nothing in life can work without God. And if you're separated from God, then guess what? You're walking in vanity, because nothing that you do has a purpose. Love, when people say, and you heard, because I did my show Spotlight on Success for so many years, and people, one of the things I always heard people say, like, what I would ask them, what is the secret to your success? A lot of times, if you talk to millionaires, or you've even had any interaction with billionaires, you got to understand that love is what pushes people. If you don't have your reason why you're doing what you're doing, again, you miss the mark. As a mother, and as a father, and as a husband, as a wife, sister, brother, aunt, nieces, whatever, a lot of times you have to have your reason why. Why you moving the way you move? I'm moving because of love. I'm moving because I love my wife the way I do, so I'm working the way I work. It's in front of me. You can't tell me that's not how that works. I'm moving the way I do because I love my husband. I'm moving the way I do because I love my kids. I'm moving the way I do. Well, why are you moving? Like, it's love. I want a specific outcome for them. The reason why I'm moving the way I move. So, okay. So how can you say you love God and you don't have the heart, the love of God in your heart to love nobody else? You don't have a purpose. You don't have a reason. See, that's a big gap. You got to be grounded in love. And all this, I do this, and I pray this way, and I do this, and I move this way, and I do all this, and no. And where I take care of my cars, that's good stewardship. That's good stewardship over the possessions that God have given you in your life. But what about good stewardship over the gift of God and the love of God in your heart? You have to learn good stewardship, how to be committed to doing things out of the goodness of your heart and because of love. It's a difference. Okay, so anyway, guys, I think that's it. But if you want to know some of the reasons why you may not be meeting your expectations or your goals in your life, go back and ask yourself, are you grounded in love? If you don't have successful relationships in your life, and you look and you mad at this person, that person mad at you, and you don't have no friends from back here, and this is not happening right, and you can't get along with nobody, go back and check your love meter. See if what you do is grounded in love. See if your actions are grounded in love. That's how you know if you're walking in love. Because by the fruits you bear. If you look back and you can't see anything good in your life that you've done, check your fruit. If you can't see where you're successful with love, check your fruit. This is an opportunity for you to get it better, to get it right. And if you don't know what love is, look, check out God, and God can show you what love is. Because He first loved us before we even loved ourselves. That's love. That's love. And then everything that you're looking for, because He God, love will be interchangeable with Jehovah Jireh. Come on, somebody, my provider. There's so much to this, and I can't break it down like I want because I'll be here all day. So I'm just going to tell you to check your fruit, check your heart, and see if you're grounded in love. And hopefully this bless somebody as much as it blessed me today, because I've given you everything you need to walk in love. And it's important to love others, because again, if you don't love others, you can't say you love God, because God is on the inside of them. That's why it says love your neighbor as yourself, because we got it wrong. This world is messed up like it is because we're not anchored in love. I'm telling you guys, go back to the blueprint. Go back to the one that first loved us, that made the sacrifice, so that we can understand what it means to sacrifice. Let's get out of our flesh and let's get back to the spirit, because that's the only thing that's real about us. Because if people should move His spirit from us today, we'll drop like a ton of bricks, because there will be no life and no breath in us. God is the very air that we breathe, and I need us to get that. So listen, this is Dr. Michelle, and I just wanted to motivate you and teach you a little bit about love today, and why love is so important. Right? Love is necessary, but you got to be grounded in love. So be blessed. Until the next time. Peace.